Welcome to the Workforce Connections podcast, where we discuss workforce development in Southern Nevada. Here's your host.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the WC podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. This is his second time on the podcast. We have Leo Bletnitsky, president of Healthy Technology Solutions, longtime member of the Workforce Connections board. Leo, we're excited to have you back.
Jaime, thank you for having me.
So we like to start our podcast now with a new format where we share with our audience a little bit about you. Tell our audience where you were born, where you grew up, went to school. Perhaps take us to your first job after graduating school.
Sure. So I'm actually an immigrant to the U.S. I was born in the Soviet Union, in the Ukraine, way back when it was the USSR.
Wow.
And immigrated to the U.S. back in 1974. So I speak English without an accent because I came here before I was 12 years old.
Wow.
And so after 12, the accents seem to stick around for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I grew up in San Francisco and went through junior college in San Francisco, and then ended up at UC San Diego in San Diego.
Wow.
Really love San Diego. I'd still be there if it wasn't in California.
Yeah.
But during that time, I also joined the U.S. Coast Guard. So I was in the Coast Guard for about 8 years as a reservist, Russian interpreter, boat crew, law enforcement, that sort of thing.
Wow.
And graduated from UCSD with a urban studies and planning degree. And not sure what I was going to do with that, but it was an interesting topic.
Yeah.
Moved back to San Francisco to start a business, which was an utter failure because I had no idea what I was doing. Me and a friend started an entertainment magazine. And after couple months, we ran out of money and all had to get jobs. So I ended up accidentally getting a job in IT.
Wow.
And a friend of mine introduced me to a company. They interviewed me. They said, "We like you. What kind of job do you want?" And I said, "I don't know. What do you have?" They said, "How about IT?"
Wow.
Or computer networking. And I said, "Sure." And then I called a bunch of college roommates and asked them if they knew what computer networking was. But it was a lot of fun.
Wow.
I learned a lot. And after about 18 months, I ended up leaving, because they got bought, going to a different company where I went from having total responsibility to no responsibility for double the money. That was too painful, and that caused me to actually start my own business. So that was back in 1996, 97 timeframe, and started an IT consulting firm in Oakland, California. After 10 years, decided that I was done with being a business owner. I wanted to be an FBI agent.
Wow.
So applied to the FBI and got a letter saying, "You're hired." So I sold my business and was a few weeks into the new transition with a new company. And I got a call from special agent in charge for San Francisco FBI. And he said, "Hey, really sorry, but you failed the medical." Wow. And so I have hearing loss from when I was in the Coast Guard that I didn't know about until that physical. And so suddenly I had a job, and I can't really be an employee, or at least I shouldn't be an employee.
Yeah.
And so I decided to move to Vegas, and because one of my original clients, moved their corporate office here, and they wouldn't violate my non-compete agreement. So I moved out here, started over again, and here I am.
Is that when you started Healthy Technology?
So it was under a different name. It was LBA Networking was the original company name, and that's actually the original company name that I joined the board under. We rebranded to Healthy Technology Solutions, and because we work with so many different industries. We work with a lot of healthcare, but also construction, engineering, architecture, CPA firms, nonprofits. So we wanted a name that would resonate with all of them because ultimately everyone needs healthy technology.
Yeah, that's so cool. And one of the things I love most about the podcast and these conversations is that I get to learn always something about, somebody. In this case, I didn't know you were born in Ukraine because, like you said, your accent doesn't give you away. And, I also think it's, so let me ask you first, are you a big hockey fan because of that?
No, but I do like hockey.
Okay.
So it's not because of that, but because when I was in San Francisco, I was a San Francisco 49er fan.
Oh, okay. And as a young kid, as a 12-year-old in Ukraine, hockey is not like the most popular sport.
No, I was 4.5.
4.5 when
I left Ukraine.
Wow.
So I came to the U.S. at 5. It took about 6 months to get here, to get permissions and everything else. My family was not a big sports family.
Okay.
They liked soccer, but maybe watching one game a year type of thing.
Yeah.
So I didn't really grow up being really into sports. I got into football when I was in high school and college. And then afterwards, I just, I'll watch the Super Bowl nowadays.
Okay. But you got to see some of the best era of the 49ers with Steve Young and Joe Montana. Yeah. Yep. Wow. That's awesome. And then, of course, I didn't know also that you spent some time with the FBI, almost an agent if it wasn't been for the hearing loss. Wow. Fascinating. Well, again, for those who might not be familiar with Healthy Technology Solutions, tell us about your company. And as you said, we've known you for a while, but tell us about what you offer your clients. Sure. And has there been any new services since we've met you?
Absolutely. So Healthy Technology Solutions is considered a managed services provider, even though we are slowly transitioning into being a managed intelligence service provider. And I'll explain what that is in a moment. But what we do is we're outsourced IT for small and medium companies. And also we co-manage IT with larger organizations that have IT teams. But the majority of our clients actually have no IT staff because they're sub 200 employee organizations that it doesn't really make sense to have an IT staff. They're not going to have a CIO. They're not going to have an IT director because it's too expensive. Yep. And it's much more cost effective to hire my team. And myself and my business partner serve as their CIO or CISO. And my staff is the help desk. It's do all the infrastructure and pretty much everything that an IT department would do for a large enterprise, but on an outsourced basis. We're ultimately responsible for everything that happens at these organizations, from help desk to cybersecurity to their phone systems, their servers, email, pretty much everything.
And then the difference between just a managed IT provider to intelligent.
So now because of AI, it's now no longer, so it used to be when I first started, we were IT consultants. Our job was to make the computers work. Now, for the last number of years, we've really been cybersecurity first because it doesn't really matter if the computers were working perfectly a minute ago. If they get compromised and the company's temporarily out of business or permanently out of business, depending on the situation. So our job was to keep them secure. And as a second thing that we did was make sure their users could work and all the applications worked, all that stuff. Now, with the advent of AI, we now have added the ability to actually add process improvements and automation and removing those tedious tasks that a lot of staff have to do that really don't add, they're mandatory to do, but they don't add value to what the company does. So each individual, whether it's a healthcare organization, a construction firm, it's their business processes. Everything from having their patients having to fill out the same form 20 times. You should never have to write your name 10 times on paper in 2026.
Right.
Or a construction firm that is using paper to dispatch their electricians or their plumbers or whatever the case might be. There are much more efficient ways of doing that. And between AI and now the AI tools that will do coding for us, because we're not a software development shop, but we do have the ability now to improve the operations for our clients. So that's really the difference. It's from just being IT to then progress to cyber. Then now we're progressing really to business process improvement as well as all the other stuff. So we're not throwing anything out. We're just adding additional value. And
a lot of the recent stuff is through the advent of AI.
Correct.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so we're talking, you've been in the tech space for decades and you've seen, plenty of innovations. Are those the most important trends of emerging technologies? We've talked about AI. We've talked about cybersecurity. How about cloud services? Is there other emerging trends that you see coming besides that?
It's really, we don't know what's coming. It's really what it comes down to because of AI. Everyone thinks, okay, I'm going to get Copilot or I'm going to get Gemini and whether I pay for it or Claude, and I'm using AI. That's just, that basic chat functionality is just the tip of the iceberg. Yeah. Claude's being used to write code now. All of those tools are being used to create creative and to create music.
Amazing.
So it's a massive disruption because what I used to have to do, if I wanted to do a marketing video, it might cost me $10,000. Now I can spend a few hours and I can create that same video without any people, any characters, and any artists involved. So that is going to cause a lot of disruption, and there's a lot of controversy about, you're using the prior works of all of these, all these creative people that AI learned from, and now using their work to reproduce it. And that's above my pay grade. Mm-hmm. I'm going to let other academics maybe debate that. But the next step is really going to be, AI agents, AI processes, along with human intervention and human oversight, that are really going to make people much more efficient and really make work more interesting.
So when it comes to today's technologies and what it dictates in the managed IT industry, what are the skills that you look for, or they're most in demand for your industry? What do you need your future workers to possess in the sense of technical skills?
So it's technical skills and also human skills. You have to, oftentimes when we're dealing with an end user, someone's having a problem. And it's really being able to communicate with that person and understanding what they're saying, because everyone has a different language. To me, the computer is the box under the desk or the laptop. To somebody else, it might be the monitor, because to them, that's the computer. And the thing under the desk is the hard drive. And so when they call you, you have to understand. And if you don't understand, it's that interpersonal communication, finding out, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? What's stopping you from accomplishing that? So that's critical. We can't be the Saturday Night Live computer guy, if you remember those back in the day. Yep. They're not politically correct skits anymore. Right. But a lot of technical people, that's kind of how they behaved. So we can't have that anymore. But as far as on the hard skills, you have to understand how the internet works, and then you have to understand the technology that you're actually working in. So it depends on whether if you're internal IT or you're a developer, and also what kind of a company you work for. So if you work for like an MGM or something like that, you're going to have subject matter experts sitting in each department, managing other folks underneath them for very specific tasks. For a smaller organization, you really have to have good generalists. So you have to have people that have a good understanding of everything. And you don't have to be an expert, but you have to know where to find the answers. Whether it's AI, whether it's coworkers, whether it's the internet, you have to be curious. And if someone calls, and I say this constantly to my team, if someone calls us and calls you and asks you to do something, and you do it perfectly, but you don't know why you did it, you failed at your job. Because it's that curiosity. We're supposed to be the experts in our field. When I go to the doctor, I don't tell the doctor what prescription to write me or what procedure I need. I tell them what my symptoms are and that I want to feel better. Same thing when someone comes to us and says, hey, can you do X, Y, and Z? If we just do it, one, it might be the wrong thing to do. They're not an expert. They're a doctor, they're an engineer, they're a construction supervisor, whatever it is. We have to listen to what they want and actually advise them and say, hey, maybe this is not the right way to do it. We can do it this way, because one, you don't need to buy this product because you already own something that does exactly that, what you're looking for. So we're there to save them money. We're there to protect them from themselves. And then we're also there to protect our own liability, because in IT right now, it's very litigious. If someone gets compromised, the attorneys find all the potential victims and they create a class. And then they want to do a class action lawsuit against both the entity that was compromised, plus their IT, plus anybody that they can figure out that they could potentially get money out of.
Wow. Very important then. A little bit ago, you were talking about how AI is transforming, not just your business, but it's allowing you to improve processes for your customers, writes code. Automation is changing, every industry almost. Do you see, particularly AI and automation, what other ways do you see it affecting the managed IT services besides what you have mentioned already?
So there's two things. One, we're using AI tools to analyze our clients' environments. Also, to make sure we're doing the right thing. We have an AI phone agent that will actually answer calls when no one's available and answer basic questions and help and actually, provide help desk services to an end user. So that takes a little bit of a load off of us and lets someone get a little bit faster response. The other side of that is AI is being used to create cyber incidents, to create ransomware, to write better emails. It used to be that when you got a phishing email, it was in bad English, misspelled. Now, that same person that still has the same bad English can copy and paste that into any of the AI models and say, please make this professional. Yeah. And now you've got perfect English coming from the bad guys. So we have to be better at analyzing, and it's a war. And it's really kind of an arms race between the bad guys using AI and the good guys using AI. Yeah. And it's never ending. So I predict 2026 is going to be probably the worst year for cyber incidents in the history of this country. Because between all the bad guys and all the nation states that are funding bad guys to steal intellectual property, to steal money, to cause disruptions, there's a significant risk. And recently Anthropic they pulled it back, but they have software, an AI solution that will actually find all the flaws in every operating system. Wow. And they went through and they found a bunch. And then they said, oh, whoa, we can't release this to the public. And they stopped it, and they've given access to it to a number of companies so that they can police their own software. But there's nothing to say that other nation states don't have similar, or companies have similar things that they're just not publicized. So there's a lot of risk, a lot of threats. And on top of that, and for half our client base in healthcare, new HIPAA regulations are about to come out, which we're going to create criminal and civil penalties for the owners of those medical practices for data breaches if they don't properly secure those systems. Wow. So, it's positive on one hand, we can do more, but it's negative because the bad guys can do a lot more as well.
Yeah, you're so right when you were talking about phishing emails. Not only is the verbiage a lot better or even perfect, as you said, but the graphics, the logos, they pretend to be people and it looks so good. I remember it was very easy to just see the address of the email on top to know it was fake. But now even that, they have a way to kind of put something else, not the real address, but, a name or something. And if you don't pay attention and mouse over it, you can be in trouble. So, yeah, I think I agree with you. So Leo, so far we've been talking a lot about, the need still for workers and the kind of skills that they require, both technical and human. What do you see as opportunities? You serve several industries, the healthcare, construction, engineering. So what opportunities do you see for building a strong and sustainable IT workforce, cybersecurity pipeline of talent for these local industries, to support these local industries?
So some of it requires availability of college education. Some of it requires just, really trade schools, because you don't have to have a computer science degree to do a lot of these jobs. So a lot of people are being retrained from, one industry to another. Kind of a lot of what, Workforce Connection does is trying to get people employed that are maybe changing jobs, got injured. You don't have to be able to lift heavy objects in order to be a cybersecurity analyst. So it's really the training, and then it's also, and on top of the training, it's the opportunities for internships, the opportunities for getting that first job. So oftentimes it's difficult to, in my environment, someone comes to us that's just maybe a hobbyist, has very basic knowledge. If they're working within our environment, they pretty much in a year have the equivalent of 2 or 3 years experience working for a large company. Because with us, they're seeing, they're visiting 10 to 15 companies a week, maybe talking to another 10 on the phone. Each one is a different industry, different software. And so you learn really, really fast, or you just don't make it. So it's that opportunity to learn. It's the hands-on learning. And that's something that people oftentimes think that, hey, I just took a class and now I can do the job. You need to actually work with someone that knows what they're doing, someone that you can ask Just asking the internet is not going to solve, is not going to solve all your problems. So there's that. It's the ability to teach the soft skills. Someone that, transitioning, let's say from the military, they already have the soft skills. Those skills have been taught. So so that's one of as a veteran myself, we just recently hired another veteran. That's always been my preference, is to hire someone that has served our country, because I know they have those soft skills. They have the discipline. Yeah. But for someone coming out of just a community college or, graduating from high school, it's the soft skills, plus you need to understand some of the technicals. You need to have pretty good math skills, really good reading comprehension. And then if you have the aptitude, we can teach you. Or you go to CSN, and I'm on the Cybersecurity Advisory Board for CSN. They're doing great things. Nevada State College also has, some decent programs. So it's really just someone learning about the opportunities. And that's a lot of the time, living in Vegas, people are thinking, I want to work at the casino, and before when parking was free, being a, valet was probably great. Now, probably less great, because if you're paying $40 for parking, you're probably giving a smaller tip. Yeah. But, so those were the opportunities in Vegas. Now it's really just looking at what can I do? What skills, what do I enjoy this? Because that's the other thing. If you don't enjoy it, no matter how much you get paid, you're going to fail eventually, because everyone around you is going to realize that you really don't belong there because you don't want to. You don't want to be, because you have to enjoy what you do. So, that the days of, working in a factory for 40 years and then retiring, those are over. Yeah. You have to like what you do, and that's going to make you better at it. But it's those communication skills. And now with AI, it's the prompting skills. Because what is AI prompting? It's just communicating with a computer, with a large language model, and being able to get, in a clear and concise manner, get your information across. So whether you're in AI space, in a customer service space, those are skills that really need to be taught in middle school and high school, so that those candidates then are eligible to be hired and have the ability to be trained to do some of these jobs. Because if you have the willingness, the knowledge can be taught.
I couldn't agree more. You were talking about how ideally, you have to love what you do, and I agree, to be happy at a job. You've been, again, a long-standing board member now of Workforce Connections. What have you enjoyed about your service on our board over all these years? So it's learning about all the different opportunities in the community that are being offered. It's learning about the apprenticeship programs that the various unions offer. It's learning about the prisoner reentry programs to actually really better the community, and having a small part in that, it feels good. It's been good also to have you here, because we, there's nothing like getting the information straight from the employers. You have to, as you just said now, attract, recruit, retain workers. And so having your perspective on the board is important too, because I think we work a lot understanding the demand side. We have to be able to invest that into that supply side, and work with our training providers and our career coaches to make sure that those workers are equipped with the kind of skills that you talked about, not just the technical ones, but the human ones. So thank you for being on our board and enjoying it, I guess. And absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for having me for all these years. Let's shift gears now and talk a little bit about when you're not working for Healthy Technology Solutions, you're not volunteering on boards like the one you talked about, CSN, Cybersecurity, Workforce Connections, or others. What hobbies or activities do you have that help you recharge, refill your cup, re-energize to keep going? There's too many. I also wear a part-time law enforcement hat with the constable's office, but very, very part-time. But one of the things I really enjoy in the community is I'm also a member for the last 12 years for Red Rock Search and Rescue. So that's something, from a community involvement. I'm one of the emergency call takers. So I enjoy that. Sometimes going out looking for people or looking for evidence in a crime is very interesting. But for really unwinding, my love is scuba diving. Oh, so I love a lot. I do a lot of things, mountain biking, shooting, hiking. But for me, scuba diving is really my passion. I've been doing it since I was 19 years old.
I was an instructor in college in San Diego, and I dive every chance I get. Anywhere in the world I can.
How about Lake Mead? Can you do it in Lake Mead?
I've done it in Lake Mead a few times. I know that there are people that really like diving in Lake Mead. I done 2 dives in Lake Mead when my son was getting his scuba certification.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it was 4 dives. I don't remember, but that's really it for Lake Mead.
Okay.
And I worked as a volunteer rescue diver for one of the triathlons once on Lake Mead.
Okay.
But for me, it's really diving places like, Philippines, Indonesia.
Where there's coral reefs and
yes.
all kinds of life. Yeah. That's very
Belize, Cozumel.
Wow.
I mean, it's that's kind of my passion.
Here they say, and I've watched shows on this, obviously, divers who go into, historical wrecks from, ships of the 1700s. But I've also learned that you can create spaces underwater for scuba divers. If you're purposeful and intentional, you can, again, create beautiful spaces that attract the life underwater. But that necessarily hasn't happened in Lake Mead, right? They haven't done that.
No, it's fresh water.
Okay.
So it's different. In the ocean, it's different. So perfect example, San Diego, they have a number of wrecks, some natural wrecks, and in the case of the one Canadian Coast Guard cutter that they sank on purpose off the coast, and that turns into an artificial reef because you end up with things growing on it, and then the fish have a place to hide. They even have, like along Pacific Beach, they have construction materials that were dumped in the ocean. Wow. Concrete with tires. And I'm not sure how good tires are for the environment in the water, but the construction material create places for the lobsters to live and the fish to hide. And those artificial reefs are pretty fun to dive.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
And wreck dives are my favorite thing. I'm looking forward to, I think, the end of the year, I'm going to go do a week on a boat in Palau.
Wow.
And so that's going to be some World War II wrecks, and that I'm really looking forward to.
Wow. So you you sleep on the boat, and then you dive during the day.
Correct.
Wow.
Correct. So you're living on the boat for a week or 8 days, and you typically do 2 to 4 dives a day, every day.
That sounds like fun.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And I take a lot of pictures. All the pictures in my home and in my office are pictures I've taken, either underwater or just with my Samsung Galaxy phone.
Fascinating. Leo, we've been talking about the future workforce, and we'd like to end the podcast with a question about if you were able to take, all of the knowledge as you've gained in your professional journey, and you've done a lot of different things, what kind of advice would you give somebody who relates to you, who maybe a listener, a viewer who is 18 and is thinking about their career moving forward, and maybe they're even an immigrant like you and I are, who came to this country at a young age, and they say, man, I relate to Leo. I think I have some of the same interest, and I also can't work for somebody. I want to own my small business one day. What kind of good information would you share with them that would help them maybe have a successful journey like you have?
Boy, that's hard. I would say really just know yourself and try different things until you figure out what you like. You have to enjoy yourself. You have to enjoy work, because if every day is a drudge, eventually you're going to fail. So it's really, it's know yourself, but also look around you and see what other people are doing that you think is not quite right. And maybe you can do it better, and find that niche, find what you can find a need and fill it, or find a need that someone else is not properly satisfying and just do it better. And when you don't have a business to run, it's a lot easier to look at things and find the flaws. It's a lot hard. It's kind of like when you write an essay, someone else reads that essay and they find spelling mistakes and grammar mistakes. You can read through it 5 times because you wrote it. You may not notice. So the same thing, you look at what other businesses that you are involved, that you see around you, see what they could potentially do better. See if there's an innovative way to provide a service for better, faster, cheaper, better customer service, whatever it is. And if you find that, run with it. And even if you fail, you're going to learn something from that failure. Do it again. And because most of the people, like my very first business, completely failed.
Yeah.
And if I hadn't have started there, I would have never ended up in IT. And who knows what I'd be doing now.
Yeah, that's a story that keeps resonating as I speak to entrepreneurs. It seems to be a common thread that they are very comfortable taking risk, and then also very gifted at being able to dust themselves off and try again. You have to be built that way, and I think I see that in you, Leo. Thank you for coming to visit us again here on our podcast, and I look forward. I think we have a board meeting coming up this month where we'll be initiating our last cycle of this 4-year procurement cycle. So it was great to see you.
Thank you, Jaime, for having me. A lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, that's it for another episode of the WC Podcast. We want to thank all the people who make this happen behind the scenes, and we look forward to seeing you at another episode. Until then, stay safe. Leo, thank you for staying over to do our bonus segment called In the Hot Seat. Are you ready?
Woohoo!
It's hot. So the first segment is called Your Favorites. I'm going to give you a category. You're going to give me your favorite thing in that category. Let's start with an easy one. Your favorite food.
Sushi.
Your favorite beverage with dinner.
Tequila.
Your favorite dessert after dinner.
Ice cream cake.
Your favorite way to start your day.
Workout.
Your favorite way to unwind after a long day.
Tequila.
Your favorite hobby or weekend activity.
Favorite hobby, scuba diving.
That would have been tequila. We would have had a kind of a theme going, which is good.
That would be bad.
Favorite vacation spot.
Too many to count.
Favorite holiday.
Anyone that lets me go scuba diving out of the country.
Favorite car you've ever owned.
You know, I had an A4 Audi convertible. That was a lot of fun.
Nice. Favorite college sports team.
I don't have one.
Favorite professional sports team.
I'm in Vegas. I guess I have to say Raiders. No,
All right.
Actually, I would say Golden Knights.
All right. You made it through your favorites. The next segment is called Tough Choices, and it gets a little harder. Hopefully you can pick one or the other. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
UCSD's King Triton or UNH Charlie the Charger?
The Trident.
Vacation or staycation?
Vacation.
When you go there, hotel or Airbnb?
Mostly hotel.
When you retire one day, will it be in the ranch or in the city?
Half and half.
Deep sea diving or search and rescue mission?
Deep sea diving.
Have more time or have more money?
More time.
If you were a superhero, the ability to fly or breathe underwater?
Breathe underwater.
The ability to speak with animals or speak any foreign language?
Speak with animals.
Here's where it gets really hard. Hopefully you can pick one or the other. Truth or kindness?
Truth.
Actions or words?
Action.
Justice or grace?
I'd have to say justice.
You made it through tough choices. Good job. The last segment is called Finish the Sentence, where I'm going to give you about 90% of the sentence. You're going to finish it for me. Leo, if you could visit any place in the world, it would be?
Let's say Rajampat.
The best part about living here in Southern Nevada is?
24-hour town.
Your favorite thing about your job as president of Healthy Technology Solutions is?
Get to help people while having freedom.
And if you could travel back in time to any period, any year, you would travel to?
Ooh. I don't know. That's one I actually...
A lot of people say the 80s.
I would say ancient Greece.
Ancient Greece, that's a good one. 3 words that describe you, Leo, are?
Fun, spontaneous, focused.
And doing the WC podcast here with us today was?
Amazing.
Well, Leo, thank you for staying over to do the hot seat.
Thank you very much.